And we are live.
Good morning or good afternoon, everyone. Evening. You want to go ahead now and read the procedures?
Certainly, Chair Abbott. Would you like first to call the roll? I could do roll call first, and then we could do the announcements.
Okay, I'll go ahead and do roll call.
Okay, sounds good.
Lorraine Silvera. Lorraine. James Kirsten. Are they not hearing me?
I think this is Bob. I think everybody's on mute.
I think so.
Hey, well, Bob's
Yes.
here.
Okay. Elma.
Hi, Member Evitt. This Chairperson Evitt. Do you want Rochelle to take the role? I'm the assistant clerk, so I'm not a member.
Okay.
Thank you.
Yes.
Go ahead,
Rochelle, why don't you go ahead and take the roll?
Certainly, Chair Abbott. I'll go ahead and take the roll.
Okay.
Member Galster?
Here.
Member Lewis?
Here.
Member Lowry?
Here.
Member Silvera? Member Silvera? I think there may be some issues.
Member Silvera, this is Alma from the board's office. We can't hear you, and if you can hear us, you will might need to leave the meeting and rejoin the meeting in order for your audio to work. I'm going to give you a call and see if I can help you. Do you have a quorum, Rochelle?
Yeah, let me just go ahead and I could call the rest of the roll call.
Okay.
Vice Chair Crawford?
I'm here.
Chair Abbott?
Here.
And we have a quorum.
I'm sorry. Can you guys hear me? This is Lorraine.
I can hear
member.
you.
Yes, we could hear you.
Okay,
Thank you.
I had zero anything. I'm sorry, I couldn't hear anything.
Oh, no worries. Glad you're back on. Okay, Chair Abbott, would you like me to read the announcements?
Yes, please.
Okay, certainly. This meeting is live streamed and temporarily closed to in-person public participation. The clerk's office is in the process of hosting hybrid public meetings that will provide board members and members of the public with the option to participate in the meeting either in person or remotely. Thank you for your patience and support. Please call ahead of time, and to make a verbal comment at today's meeting, dial 916-875-2501 to provide your contact information. When the chair opens public comment for a specific agenda item or off-agenda matter, callers will be contacted by phone and transferred into the meeting to make their public comment. Written comments are always accepted. Send your email comment to boardclerk@saccounty.net, and your comment will be routed to the board and filed in the record.
Okay. Thank you very much. So we've already done roll call. I just want to make an announcement that, again, we are all volunteers, that we do this on our own time, and that we're here just to hopefully listen to the citizens of Orangevale and then help them decide or pass it along what they want us to do. So I'm sorry, I'm just all flustered today. So, okay, moving on. Do we have, yeah, there you go.
Can I interrupt just a second?
You sure
This is
can.
Bob. I think we need to make an announcement that what this meeting is.
Oh,
You know,
thank you.
We never did say it's the Orangevale Community Planning Advisory Council.
Okay, This is CPAC, the Orangevale Community Planning Advisory Council meeting, and start at 6:36 tonight.
Very good.
Thank you. Sorry about that. Okay, and then the first thing that we have on the agenda is information relating to Senate Bill 9 or SB 9 requirements to allow 2 primary dwellings on 1 parcel, to provide for ministerial processing of 2-lot tentative parcel maps, and to address expirations of tentative map approvals. So do we want to go ahead and get started on that one?
Certainly, we could go ahead and bring up the PowerPoint presentation.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, good evening, CPAC members. This is Chris Pahuli, Principal Planner with the Planning and Environmental Review Division. I'll be providing you with the staff presentation for this informational item, which provides an overview of the county's approach for implementing a new law, Senate Bill 9, also known in the media as the Duplex Bill, but you'll hear a little bit later during the presentation that it does much more than that. Next slide, please. In September, Governor Newsom signed SB 9, which has 3 main components. First is that it allows by right development of 2 homes or primary dwellings on a single lot within single-family residential zones. Second, that property owners can split 1 lot into 2 lots. And third, that tentative maps can be approved for 4 years rather than 3. I should note that a property can do both splitting a lot and placing 2 homes on those created lots. So whereas currently you have 1 lot and 1 home can be placed on that lot, you could have 1 lot split into 2 with 2 homes on each lot, resulting in 4 homes on that 1 lot, or on that previously previous 1 lot. All of these provisions are exempt from CEQA, have certain requirements that must be met, and became effective on January 1, 2022. On December 21st, 2021, the Board of Supervisors introduced county code amendments and updates to the zoning code's user guide to begin processing requests under Senate Bill 9. During the hearing, staff committed to attending all of the CPAC meetings and the Planning Commission's hearing to discuss these new state laws. Next slide, please. In order for property owners to take advantage of these new laws, there is a 2-part locational and zoning test that must be met. The first part of the test is that properties must be located in a single-family residential zoning district. This requirement does not mean that all zoning districts that allow for single-family development, but rather that zoning districts that are primarily for the development of single-family homes. County staff has concluded that this provision applies to our RD1 through RD10 zoning districts, as well as potentially properties located in special planning areas and neighborhood preservation areas that have a single-family residential underlying zone. In addition to being located on properties zoned for single-family residential development, the property must also be located in an urbanized area or urban cluster as identified by the U.S. Census Bureau. The map on this graphic highlights eligible areas. I should note that this map is based on 2010 census data, and we expect it to be revised late next year. However, for now, or late this year. However, for now, we're going to be using this map to determine areas that are eligible for SB 9 processing. So what does this mean for Orangevale? As you can tell on this map, all of Orangevale is located in an urbanized area as defined by the U.S. Census. But in order to take advantage of the SB 9 provisions, a property must be zoned appropriately. So it must be zoned RD1 through RD10 in this area to be able to take advantage of the SB 9 requirements. Next slide, please. So in addition to these locational and zoning requirements, there are some other key provisions of the law that I want to mention. The requests for 2 homes or lot splits are to be handled administratively and not subject to CEQA, as I mentioned a little bit earlier. Requests can be denied, but only if the building official finds that public health and safety would be compromised. And so as we have been working on this with our building department or building official, it's come to our attention that that's going to be a very high bar to clear. And so unless there's some pretty significant issues related to septic systems, things like that, these will be approved by right. There are very limited conditions that can be applied to projects, pretty much limited to easements with no off-site improvements or dedications, and parking can be required unless it's located in very specific areas where there is high quality transit. Requests can, however, be conditioned to prohibit short-term rentals of properties, which the county intends to do. The laws also drastically change the required development standards that the county has codified in our zoning code. For example, the county cannot require side or rear yard setbacks of more than 4 feet. And for parcel splits, the minimum lot size can be as small as 1,200 square feet. I should note that a key provision of the law relating to lot splits is that the property owner must sign an affidavit stating that they will live in one of the properties for 3 years. Next slide, please.
Yeah, wait. I have a question back on that slide.
Sure.
This is Bob.
Uh-huh.
How are you going to enforce the third bullet?
The short-term rentals?
Yes.
Yeah, well, we will have a condition on the lot splits that indicate that properties cannot be used as a short-term rental. In addition to that, for just homes that are being built on properties, the two homes on one lot, we will be tracking those projects and putting a tag, if you will, on them. And the county does require short-term rental permits. So to the extent that they do comply and they don't handle it or they don't rent these properties out inconsistent with our requirements, we should be able to track and require and deny their short-term rental permit if they were constructed or processed under an SB 9 provision.
So is your the permit that you that somebody would obtain for the short-term rental, is that tied into the various applications that people use, or is this just?
It is. Yeah, it is. There is currently the planning department does review short-term rental requests, and there's an application on our website. Folks submit, and it's an annual permit. So it's not as if you get it once and you have it in perpetuity. You have to reapply every year to have your property be on Airbnb or VRBO or any of the other.
Is there a connection between the county and the the companies that offer that service?
Yeah, that's a good question. I know that our finance department, because there are taxes that they have to pay, I believe that it's the county's finance department that does have a link with those service providers.
Okay, I just want to know. I think that's a hole right now. So I'm just, I've just heard stories about it. I don't know anybody personally, but I do know of, some situations where the people were doing this without, any record effort going on. So anyway, enough of that.
Okay.
Okay.
I now want to walk through how staff is anticipating lot split requests be handled. I also want to note that this is specific to the lot splits. For the 2 homes on 1 lot, those requests will move straight to a building permit process with no additional planning review or conditioning. Staff has developed an SB9 application for parcel maps, which is on our website and available now. We will charge the same fee as charged for other parcel maps. Projects will be subject to our project review committee process to analyze the parcel maps, as is done for other parcel map requests. Based on the board direction from a few weeks ago, surrounding property owners, so those properties located within 500 feet of the request, as well as the CPAC members, will receive a courtesy notice of filed applications. So what staff is intending to do is to send out an email to the CPACs with the application that has been received, so that you have information about that application that's been filed. Finally, the planning director will be the decision body for these SB9 parcel maps rather than the subdivision review committee. Appeals would be very limited in scope. It's likely to be the applicant perhaps maybe contesting conditions, so we're not expecting that the appeal process will be used very often, and would be considered by the Board of Zoning Appeals. So the Planning Commission, doing business as the Board of Zoning Appeals, would be the appeal body. Next slide, please. So regarding the request to build 2 homes on 1 lot, the county is intending to initially use our recently approved accessory dwelling unit development standards, as they generally seem to track with the law. However, I should say, we are waiting for state guidance, which could change this approach. This is due to the state law not specifically stating a maximum size for the second home on the property, but indicates a minimum size of 800 square feet. Therefore, the county's approach will be to cap the maximum size of the second home. The upshot is that one of the 2 homes, either attached or detached, could not be larger than 800 square feet or 1,000 square feet, depending on the bedroom count. And there would be an option to apply for a discretionary special development permit to exceed the maximum size standard up to 1,200 square feet, which is typically how our accessory dwelling units are handled. As you're aware, you see a handful of them where folks are requesting a deviation up to 1,200 square feet. So again, we may learn in the coming weeks and months that this approach is not consistent with state direction. And if that is the case, then we will make necessary adjustments to standards. Next slide, please. So as I noted earlier, staff is working now to implement this new law and provide information to a number of property owners that are looking to take advantage of it. We're also meeting with all of the CPACs and the Planning Commission. You are the second CPAC that we've visited so far. So over the course of the next 2 months, we'll visit all 14 CPACs and provide information. And then over the course of the next few months, we expect to receive guidance from the state on SB9 implementation that may influence zoning code changes related to development standards. We're thinking that a package may be necessary to incorporate all of these changes. I believe you heard a presentation probably mid last year about an SB2 package, which was a kind of an overhaul of multifamily development standards. So we're working on that package, and some of these SB9 changes may need to get rolled into that package as well. And then finally, you're going to begin to receive those courtesy notices, perhaps. Again, I'm not sure how much interest there will be by property owners to take advantage of this lot split. Again, they're going to have to indicate that they will live on one of the properties, so that may have somewhat of a chilling effect on the interest in the law. But to the extent that applications are filed, you will receive notice of them so that you are aware of what is happening in Orangevale. So that concludes the informational presentation. I'm sure you may have questions, and I'll be happy to answer them.
Okay, I'll go off first. This is Bob. I just have a question, and maybe you can walk through a little bit about what we have in front of us is that development proposal that's on Filbert. I think it's Filbert. No, it's right. It's behind the Divine Savior Church, and it came in front of us as a workshop item. Are you familiar with that?
I am.
Okay. Now, given what, excuse me a little bit, given what we just heard, can that developer go in and split those lots up on the, because they're going to go to an RD5. I think he was proposing an RD3 and a 5 and maybe even higher than that. Can they use this process to put even more homes in there?
Yes and no. So no, the developer could not do that. But yes, a subsequent property owner could either put 2 homes on their lot, or they could put a second home on the lot, or they could split the lot themselves later. But again, they would have to sign an affidavit saying that they would live on the property. So
But he could sell it like that. Is that right?
the developer could sell it.
Well, he could sell it with the, how you get the sales pitch of, you can split this lot and put another house on it and blah, blah, blah.
Sure.
He could do that.
They could do that.
Great.
But again, that would have to be a individual property owner bringing that application forward for that second home, or to further split that lot.
Okay. Now, there was some early mention, and I read about this, where they talked about the parking structure or the parking process had to be within a transit corridor.
Correct.
Where's a transit corridor in Orangevale?
I don't believe that I don't believe that there would be a transit or that any of the Orangevale corridors could be viewed as a transit corridor. It would have to have very high frequency service. So probably
like buses and whatnot?
Yeah, but the headways would have to be probably about 30 minutes. So it would have to be a pretty high quality transit service that in order to qualify. Otherwise, we would be able to require a parking space for a potential project. And I think in most parts of the county, we are anticipating that parking would be required as part of a request. There may be a couple of areas where that might not be the case. Areas close to maybe a light rail station or a real high frequency bus line.
Yeah. Okay. I just have one more question then. I'm just kind of interested in the concept that we're going to get, as members of the CPAC, we're going to get advisory notices out. Whose idea was that?
It came out of the board hearing. A couple of the board members wanted to make sure that CPAC members were made aware of lot splits in their areas.
No, we can't do anything about them. So,
right.
To me, it would just anger the people more than it would. I don't know. Okay. I'm not in favor of getting advisory notices sent to me. So that would just kind of irritate me more than help me. So I don't know. Let the other people talk to that. But I'm not in favor of that.
This is George Lowry. I'd say on that topic, what would be most important to me is that the notices arrived within some time that they were actionable. If I find out something, it doesn't leave me enough time to share it, talk to people at the Chamber of Commerce or, post it to, local social media groups to kind of surface these things. I'd be kind of unhappy about that. So it's more for me. It's more a matter of getting it in a useful time frame. Also, it looks to me like it's very possible that there's going to be not necessarily a land rush, but we're going to have people who, I know what the pretty story is. The pretty story is that Granny can live in the backyard, but I also expect that there's going to be a certain number of people that are going to look for ways to game the system in all the ways possible. So what I wonder is, we have these definitions like, as Bob was talking about, what is a high quality or a high frequency transit availability? Where is that defined? I mean, is there a glossary of these terms where what they're generally understood to be, or is that going to be something that has to be litigated on every iteration of analysis? Thanks.
Yeah, good questions. So I'll take the first one first, which is the timing of the notification and actions that could be taken. So again, just to reiterate, there will not be any notification for the second home on a parcel. This is only related to the parcel map or the split of one lot into two lots. There was quite a bit of discussion at the board about the notification, and I sought out direction from the board about the timing of that notification. Board members had indicated that they wanted the notification to go out at the time that the application was filed. I think staff's recommendation was to notice the CPACs the property owners and the CPAC after the item had been approved, just as information, but the members wanted it to be at the time that the application was filed. So that's when you will be notified, is at the time that the application is filed. In terms of it being actionable, at the time of approval, like any other request before the county, there is an appeal process. But as I mentioned, I am expecting the appeal process to be very limited in scope, and I think that state guidance will be issued around any potential appeal process. I think the spirit of the state law is to have these projects be allowed by right. I think that's what we will see out of their guidance, and so in terms of any action, I am thinking that the county and any third party would be very limited in what their actions that they have available to them might be. In terms of definitions, second question, there are, as asked about the transit areas specifically, there are definitions in a government code related to transit rich areas and high, losing the term itself. I think it's a transit rich or transit priority stop or something like that. So there are definitions in California government code that define what constitutes those definitions. There are other definitions, however, in the law that do not that are not defined, that we do expect direction from the state when they do provide that guidance. So for example, I mentioned that the law pertains to single family residential zoning districts, and county staff is interpreting that to mean our RD1 through RD10, and that's very important for Orangevale, for example. So we are not including ag-res zoned properties as part of that definition. But again, we will learn more from the state about what they mean by single-family residential zoning districts and whether or not they provide deference to local jurisdictions to make that determination. And so I think we'll learn more. So I guess a long answer to your question is that some definitions are included in both the law and in California government code, and in other cases it's not fully defined, and we will be waiting for guidance from the state to provide more direction.
Thank you.
This is Member Lewis. So clarification on the setbacks. So let's say I were to, my property, I were to split it, and right now I have 7-foot setbacks. Those 7 foots would basically no longer come in play. They'd now be 4 feet. Am I understanding that correctly?
Yeah, so are you saying that the home, a new home that you would be building, or your existing home is set back 7 feet from your property or from
Yeah,
your
so like
neighbor?
right now my setbacks are 7 feet. So if I were to, let's say I decided I wanted to split my lot and build 2 new houses or 4 houses, where before if I were building, or remodeling or something like that, I'd be limited to 7 feet. Now
Mhm.
I'd be able to go to 4 feet if I went through this process.
That's correct. Now, I should say that the law was specific to side and rear yard setbacks. So we do believe that we can require a typical front yard setback as well as a side street yard setback. So
Okay, yeah, no,
we're
I
intending to use
understood that
those.
part of it.
Got it. Okay.
Yeah, ouch, 4 feet. Ouch.
Yeah.
That's basically zero lot line. Ouch.
Yeah.
Not a huge, just, personally not a huge fan of that. I know that that's, wow. I mean, 8 feet between, that's nothing. Okay. And then to Vice Chairperson Crawford's commentary on the notifications, I fall in his camp on that. If they're not actionable from us, it comes across as an odd placation by the board, or absent of not hearing the conversation of how that came up. It just comes across as odd, or like they're trying to get ahead of us being perturbed. I don't know, but yeah, if they're not actionable, and I agree with you, it sounds like this is going to be a by right thing. I don't understand, nor would I really care to see notifications on those type of things, especially if it's essentially by right. That just sounds like noise. That's just going to spin people up. So just I'd fall in that same camp.
Yeah, just to maybe make sure that I'm properly characterizing the conversation with the board, and I would encourage you, if you did have the time, to maybe go back and listen to it. It was on October 21st, and that hearing is able to be streamed. But my sense, based on the conversation, was that a couple of board members did want, if the CPAC wanted to hear a request, to be able to request it be heard. Again, the state law, at least my understanding, what staff believes to be the case, is that these are intended to be streamlined and be by right, and with very little opportunity for a denial of these requests, and it has to be kind of strictly based on health and safety. And the commentary from the board was around that you currently hear parcel map requests, parcel splits, and that at least in the near term, or at least with these applications that are coming in, an opportunity for the CPACs to be aware of those applications, and if you wanted to have a presentation to be able to request that staff bring it forward. I am not sure from a processing standpoint. I think we could probably encourage applicants to attend if a CPAC wanted to hear the item. But again, I think we would have to move it through the process pretty quickly.
So that's interesting. So I personally, I think staff is correct. I think you guys are right based on my understanding of what I've heard about SB9 and done a little reading on. I think it very much comes across as just this is going to be a by right thing. In that scenario, I'd argue that the CPAC shouldn't get notification. I'd even make the argument that residents shouldn't get notification. They're not notified, neighbors within the 500 feet, because if I pull a permit on my house, my neighbors aren't, and there's no special things that need to be done or go through a CPAC, they're not notified. And if this is going to be a by right thing, I think those notifications just are noise and will cause conflict that doesn't need to be there. That said, on the other scenario, if there was a processing thing to where we would be able to request that this comes up for whatever particular reason so that we can, shed some light on something if we, as community representatives, see a potential issue, then that's a different scenario. In that case, I think notifications hold merit.
Well, I'll just say, for my opinion, and this is an artifact of living under 30-some years of Bagley Keene in state government. Bagley Keene makes the Brown Act look like patty cake. But I made peace with that. And so it's hard for me to think of an instance when, the public interest is affected, where withholding notifications is helpful, especially if somebody feels as though they've come late to the party and they haven't been kept informed. So I guess maybe that's just a risk analysis.
Okay, do we have any more questions? I'm going to say no more questions, then we can go on to the election. Rochelle? Election of officers.
A minute, I think there's an issue with her audio because I can hear her talking, but I don't hear her in the meeting. Hold on a moment.
Lorraine, do you still hear her? I don't hear her at all.
I'm here. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you, Lorraine, but
Okay.
I don't hear Rochelle.
I can't hear her either. But I
Hi,
couldn't
sorry,
hear her.
Hi, sorry, this is James Kirsten with the clerk of the board. We're having some technical difficulties. Give us one moment and we will continue forward.
Okay.
Thank you. I just need to know.
Chris, are you still there? No.
Nope.
Hi, my audio is on. Can you guys hear me?
Is
Yes.
this Michelle? Yes.
Oh, can you hear me now? Okay.
Yes.
Yes.
And I'm sorry, Chris is here too. It just took me a minute to toggle back to
Okay,
my
great.
desktop. Sorry
Yeah,
about
sorry
that.
about that. Looks like we had some audio issues. You know how technology goes. So we'll go ahead and Chair Ebbett, I can go ahead and read item number 2.
Yes, please.
Certainly. So item 2 is the election of officers, and annually we go ahead and nominate the vice chair and chair. So do we have nomination for the vice chair and chair? We could go ahead and start with vice chair.
Well, real
This
quick,
is.
I'm sorry,
I'm sorry.
Michelle.
This is.
Michelle? All right, this is Chair Diane. I don't know why it's not on here because I have informed everybody, but this is my last meeting.
Oh, okay. Yes, Chair
I guess
Ebbett.
where it said staff update. Yes,
Yes, Chair Ebbett. We did receive your
this is
email
my last
notification.
meeting. Okay.
Chair Ebbett, if this is Alma from the clerk's office. We did receive your correspondence. It doesn't have to be listed on the agenda for you to discuss it. You can either
Okay.
discuss it in council member comments or in the election of officers, since you've provided information related to the your resignation of the office, or you resigning from the Orangevale CPAC.
I'm resigning from the Orangevale CPAC.
Okay, thank you.
Uh-huh.
Okay.
So now, do we have vice chair? Anybody?
Is Bob still vice chair right now?
Yes, we have Vice Chair Crawford listed as the vice chair.
Okay.
Bob, did you still want to do it? Because I know you were wanting to kind of take a step back recently from the chair position.
Um, I'll stay advice if nobody else wants to do it. I mean, that's not a big time consuming for me to be vice. So I don't want to step into the other chair though.
This
Oh.
this is Lorraine. I'm happy to do chair if nobody else wants to do it.
Oh, okay. So this is Rochelle.
Member Lewis, I'm happy to help with both. I know, Bob, you've been at it for a while. I'm happy to, do either for a little while too, so that you can take a break.
Yeah, that works for me. I'll step away if whatever you guys want to do. That works for me.
Oh, okay. Sue, I mean, if you want to do chair, I'll do vice chair if the rest of the board's okay with that. I mean, I'm up for anything. Just throwing it
It
out
was
there.
Lorraine.
Oh, Lorraine, sorry.
It's okay. Okay. Yeah, I'm happy to do chair if you'd like to do vice chair, but I think we need to vote on it. So
Yes.
Of course, yeah.
All right. So why don't we go right now? And does anybody want to make the motion to have, I'm sorry, that was you, Chris? No. Who was it that wanted to be vice chair?
Member Lewis.
Member Lewis. Okay. All right. So who wants to make the motion for Bob Lewis, to be vice chair?
Hi, this is Member Galster, and I will make a motion for Bob Lewis to be our vice chair and Lorraine Silvera to be our chair.
I'll second that.
Okay. All in favor?
I
Or I guess I go by roll. Lorraine?
Yes, you have to have a roll call.
Member Kirsten?
That's the presenter,
Okay.
chairperson Ebbett. If you like, we can have Rochelle take the roll call.
Please. Yes,
Thank you.
please.
Go ahead, Rochelle.
Okay, so I'll go ahead and make the roll call for Lorraine Silvera to be chair. Do we have a first?
Yeah,
Uh,
I second it. This is Bob Crawford. And
right, what we did
vice
was we
chair
combined.
was Bob Lewis.
Oh, okay. Thank you. So let's go ahead. I'll gonna go ahead and call roll. Member Galster,
Yes.
Member Lewis,
Yes.
Member Lowry,
Aye.
Chair Ebbett,
Yes.
and Vice Chair Crawford.
Yes.
Okay, motion passes.
Oh, hey, didn't ask me.
Okay, so for the vice chair, we're gonna go ahead and do a vote.
It was one motion, Rochelle. Member Galster made the motion. Member Crawford seconded the motion for chair and vice chair.
Okay, perfect. Okay, we can go
Okay,
ahead.
great.
Chair Ebbett, would you like me to go ahead to item 3?
Yes, please.
All right, item 3 is staff update.
Hi, this is Chris Pahuli again. I do not have a staff update.
Okay. Thank you very much.
Chair Ebbett,
Yes.
would you like me to call item 4?
Yes, please.
Okay, item 4 is council member comments.
Do you have any? I don't.
Well, this is Bob Crawford. I guess I gotta do Member Crawford from now on. This whole thing, I'm kind of concerned about what it's gonna do for the CPAC, with the notifications that don't go out or the notifications that do go out, on the splits and whatever happens. I think most of you, when we were in meetings, I mean, I've been doing this since 1997, and I think the number one complaint that we get constantly is that we're trying to pull something on people, and we don't tell them what's going on. And the county's always trying to screw people and whatever. I use that word loosely. Usually there's another word in there, but I'm kind of concerned about if this kind of takes off and a lot of people start doing this, as far as splitting and putting in other houses, the CPAC is going to look like we're going to take a lot of it on the chin when we have these open meetings again. That's what I'm kind of worried about, and I would like to express that to Chris and make sure that the board, or at least anybody that listens, is kind of concerned of where it's putting us in, where it's putting the CPAC members in. And this is just me talking, just with my experience that I mean, I get hit up when we used to have monthly meetings and the people see your face. When I go to the grocery store, people would talk to me, and this isn't a good thing. I'm not all excited about being a CPAC member and having things done, to a neighbor that doesn't know anything about it, and all of a sudden another house is going to be within 4 feet of his house. I don't want to be that guy that he runs into in the supermarket. So I'm just letting you know I'm real concerned about this from a personal standpoint.
This is Member Silvera, or I call myself yet, but I kind of agree, but I disagree. If your neighbors or people in the community are super worried about what's going on in their neighborhood, they need to be online. You can see any permit that's been filed on your neighbors. You can do some research. I feel like it might be okay that we're notified. So if people come to us and say, hey, Lorraine, so-and-so's building, yeah, it's on, they filed a permit, and get on the site and look it up. I feel like we are out there to help the community navigate through maybe the website and find out what's happening in their town. Just my input.
Okay. That was
Yeah,
fine.
I agree with that. I have no problem talking to, people in town about what's going on. I spent my 30 years with the state explaining myself, so it wouldn't be anything new.
Any more comments at this time? Okay, Rochelle, do we have anybody for public comments?
So item 5, public comments. We have received no comments for any of the items on today's agenda.
Okay. So with nothing else on the agenda, I'm going to go ahead and.
Wait.
Okay.
This is Crawford again.
Mhm.
I think the last couple of times, we haven't received the board agenda items in a timely fashion, I think. And I just wanted to make sure that we're back on there. I think we were supposed to receive them 3 to 7 days or 3 to 5 days ahead of the meeting. And I understand there's some technical things this time, but I think the last time we had a problem too, that we didn't get them in time either. So I just want to make sure that we get back on the schedule where we get the agenda items out. Because I like to still go out and look at the property and maybe talk to the people like we used to. So it would be nice to have, the agenda out in a timely fashion so we can do that if we so choose.
This is Alma Munoz from the clerk of the board's office. I understand, Member Crawford, and we'll try better to get the information to you in a more timely manner, other than the 72-hour minimum.
Okay.
Isn't it? This is Lorraine. It used to be like 10 days, and did that change? Because I feel like 10 days is even short.
No, 10 days is for the noticing, for people for the legal noticing about for the project. Generally, it was the Thursday or Friday before the following week, maybe Wednesday.
Yeah, I just feel like that's so slow. Like literally, I had to call and say, "Hey, I never got anything." So I get it. You had a technical difficulty this time, but
and
like
thank you
one
for
day
calling
before.
because we didn't know.
Yeah. So. Okay.
Okay. Anything else?
We will miss you, Diane. I'm not sure where you're going, but we'll miss you.
Well, thank you, and I will miss being on it. My duties with the Chamber of Commerce have increased a lot, and I'm just busier. And as you can tell, I have not been able to give my 100% to the CPAC, so I think it's best that I step down. But I did enjoy it, and I've learned a lot. And this SB 9 bill just blew me away. But good luck for all of you guys. And I'll be seeing you around.
Thank you.
Thank you for your service.
Thank you.
Diane, and Happy New Year to everybody.
Thank you. Oh, yes, you too.
Thank you.
Thank you, everyone.
Thanks,
Take care.
everyone. Bye.
Bye.